So, after a couple of years of looking into what difference perhaps I could make, and a lot of analysis, I came down to a final decision after consulting with my wife, of course, and family and friends as to whether I would take this journey or not. I'm going to explain to you shortly why I came to that decision, but the main reason is only 4 or 5 things. For God, for the country I love, for my family, for my children, my granddaughter, and the train I see coming down the track. And it's not a light on the coming down, it's a train coming through the tunnel. And the concerns I have over where this country has gone in the last 5 or 7 or 10, actually even 40 years when it comes to immigration, I felt I need to step in. I've watched the election in the last 4 cycles of people going after and trying to unseat incumbents. And I've learned in the last 4 months how difficult that is in particular, regardless of how successful that incumbent is. So what made me make this decision? Well, quite a few things. Number 1 is our homeland security. Number 2, our economic situation, not only from 2008, but even where we are in the last 2 days where the economy has stalled. What's going on overseas in China, how it's affecting our stock market, how it's affecting still unemployment. Number 3, I look at the immigration issues that we're facing, and I'm going to talk more about these things. And number 3, the health care and the cost that we've already experienced of what we want to do the right thing for America and covering health care for everyone if possible. But what that cost has now resulted in $19 trillion of debt that our children and us are facing right now as we look at our premiums every year as we go forward. But the most important thing that I'm afraid of and scared of, and I think you are too from what I hear and from what feedback we've gotten, is whether we're safe anymore, whether we're safe in our homeland. What I want to address is, what has Leonard Lance done about it? Where is he? If I was elected and was in the seat during these fiascos and disasters that have faced our country in the last few years, first of all, Leonard Lance should be screaming from the bell tower when he was asked to, when you get the Obamacare, vote for it now and read it later. I would have boycotted the steps of Washington, D.C. I would have had rallies in Hunterdon County and all around the District 7 to bring publicity to the fact of how ludicrous is Pelosi to stand there and say, you can read it later, just sign it now so we can get it done. And then we hear the mastermind of Obamacare step up at events and say, we fooled the people. It wasn't him that fooled the people. It was those that put this health care program together. And the very architect goes on the microphone at an event and proud and laughing and saying, we fooled the people. That's what we want to have, and that's where Leonard Lance was standing there, and then the Republican Congress stands up and say, golly gee, we don't think we should vote on this right now, and of course they voted it down, but where is somebody yelling from the bell tower? So let me tell you a little bit about me, who I am, and where I came from, and my roots. I was born in New Jersey. Family got married in New Jersey, my parents in Rutherford. My dad was a CPA, and as we grew in Rutherford, then Verona, my dad's CPA as a consultant and ultimately controller of big companies and a CPA decided that there was other opportunities, and we ended up in Massachusetts where I did my elementary school. My brothers and sisters, there's 5 of us in the family, and as I was in high school, in my junior and senior year, my parents separated, and my mom had to then raise not only my 5-year-old brother, but also my 2 sisters, and my oldest brother had already left the nest. So my mom said to me, we're going to have to leave the house. And I said, well, let's see what we can do. And I worked with my mom as she went back to work. ended up working 2 full-time jobs, 80 hours a week, with accolades from the state for Mother of the Year, and raising 4 children. And in high school, I went and cleaned hotel rooms, cleaned rooms at hospitals, and landscaping on the weekend to try and save the house for my mom. But what my mother built was to get through that struggle. Those issues in raising not only the 5-year-old, but keeping our family together strong, faithful in the Lord and God, and building character. The strength I saw in my mom gave me strength. And what she always told me was, Craig, if you see something, do something. Don't just stand around and watch. Step in. So that handout you see in front of you where it lists what I got involved with, not only going back to being involved with politics and watching behind the scenes, but supporting conservative Republican candidates that stood for pro-business, that stood for faith, that stood for reaching out and trying to make a difference. I said, I want to put on an event to honor the Vietnam veterans, and I want to do it at Byrne Arena, and I want to fill the place. And so I worked diligently and funded to make this event happen. And it was a proud moment because I know I lost people from high school and college that were in Vietnam. And I know the sacrifices our military made. And so for me, it was a joyful moment to see the moms that were there that lost their children, and also to see the veterans that stood up and were proud to be part of their sacrifice for the country. And I said, well, Leonard, how are you addressing all these issues that are going on? And how is this going to change while you run for re-election? And after some discussion, we finally got to the bottom line. He said, well, Craig, he said, I need to tell you a story about me. Okay, I'm open. Tell me a story. Well, I come from a family of three generations of politicians. We go back to, and then he talked about Betsy Ross. Then he talked about the Mayflower. And he went on for about 10 minutes. And I sat there listening patiently as perhaps my blood pressure was rising a bit. And I said to myself, Craig, sit back, listen, wait till he's done. So when Leonard was done, I reached across my table and I said, Leonard, respectfully, not only are you out of touch with reality, not only do you think you're entitled, but you're wrong. Because if you think entitlement is going to keep any congressman in this day and age, in this cycle, you're wrong. And you're not doing anything about it. And you're not speaking up to the issues that have to be taken care of. And he looked at me and said, what do you mean? I said, what do I mean? You feel you're entitled because you have 3 generations of politicians that have been part of collecting checks from the government. And when I look at your record, I look and say, well, what are you doing to scream and yell about the things that are going on in the country? I don't mean sending out a cute postcard or sending out a letter that this is what I did last week or last month. I mean results. My mission is first and foremost to represent the people. I want a chance to be in that seat to see if I should look back at Leonard if I win and say, I was right. Or, Leonard, were you right? Were you right to be sitting in the House of Representatives for the United States of America with all your other colleagues and rubber stamping versus going out and trying to make a difference and stand up for what you feel is right? If I'm not happy with the leadership, with Paul Ryan, if I'm not happy as to what the majority is, I'm not going to sit there and pull the lever and just say no. If I feel strong about a principle, I'm going to come out and talk about it, and I'm going to let my community know, and I'm going to let you know. And if your feelings are to join the rally and to make our voices heard and to be heard and not ignored, then I want to be your representative to make that happen. Because I've watched for too long behind the scenes, and it's not happening. Even those that I helped get elected, they change over time. They get too well comfortable. They want to get reelected. They're more important about working as soon as they get elected, about getting reelected, instead of showing their constituency what results they're going to get. And I can't tolerate that anymore. And that's what brought me to the point I'm at now. I have a lot of positions on a lot of issues, but my number one priority in closing is to secure our country and our homeland so that we can be safe, to support the right to bear arms, to support immigration and build the wall, pass the cement. What do we have to do to execute instead of stop talking about it? To look at the refugee situation not just as a Muslim issue, because 90% of Muslims are not militants. And I don't like characterizing it of just blocking We should be blocking all immigration and refugees right now so we can do a vetting process properly. It's not like picking at one particular religious group and saying that that's the problem. So, in conclusion, and as the journey begins, I'm trying to show the accountability that has to be put on all of our congressmen, elected officials. And if they're just going to not show up to events, if they're not going to be part of the solution, and just going to pull the lever all the time on incumbents, then things won't change. And unless we all stand up, unless every one of you in your room, if you believe the message, are become missionaries for the message I'm trying to get out there, we have to start to develop a way of cleaning house and bringing in people that are passionate for the solutions that this country needs very badly. So today, yes, I am going to announce that I'm running for Congress in District 7. The campaign and the announcement will be made public in the next couple of weeks, and the date will be set for the kickoff based upon what dates are convenient, not only for the facility, but also to make sure that I get the message out early as to what my intentions are. I want to thank you all for coming tonight, and God bless America, and God bless this country, that we can see change that's going to bring a difference, accountability, and results to turn things around. Thank you.